It's 11:05, so let me start by welcoming everyone. I'm Thomas Sir. I'm CEO of Kinexum. Today's webcast features Kinexum consultant Jinhui Dou, PhD, on tea, dragon's blood, cannabis, and ginseng, herbal medicine, dietary supplements, or botanical new drugs. Jinhui is uniquely qualified to give this presentation, having received his PhD in pharmacognosy from the University of Mississippi under Dr. James McChesney, his pharmacy BS and pharmacognosy MS from Beijing University of Chinese Medicine, and he served as a pharmacology and pharmacognosist expert specializing in botanical drug review at the FDA, where he reviewed over 500 botanical IND applications and several botanical drug NDAs. A couple of housekeeping points first. Jinhui will be sharing slides, so if there are folks who are only calling in, you should log in if you can. Number two, in order to access the presentation slide deck, you'll need to accept offers that should have popped up on your computer screen. So hopefully everyone can see a slide, a cover slide that has the title in English and in Chinese from Jinhui on your screen. Third, if you have any questions along the way or at the conclusion of the presentation, please enter it in the chat box. You can open up, there's a toolbar on the left side of your screen. The third icon down is like a cartoon or a comic comment bubble. If you click that, you can open up the chat screen and you can insert your questions there. We'll try to get to them to as many as possible as we have time for. Fourth, a recording of this webcast with slides will be posted, and a link will be distributed to all registrants for this webcast within the next several business days. And finally, I want to announce that Kinexum will be attending JP Morgan Week in San Francisco in January, including the Biotech Showcase, and we'd love to meet folks there, so please let us know. I now turn the mic over to Jinhui. Jinhui, please take it away.
Thank you, Thomas, for the very kind introduction. And good morning, everyone. And you have my welcome. And also apology, I had little technical problem using the webcast. Without further ado, let's go to the next slide, please. So that is the disclaimer, and you'll see that later. So basically, I'll give you an introduction of what are botanical drugs and how FDA review botanical drugs. And since botanical drug products takes long time to develop, and the candidates usually come from dietary supplements and also herbal medicines in other countries, I'll give you some introduction of how herbs could be regulated as herbal medicines in other countries, dietary supplements in the US, as the foundation for botanical drug development. Next one, please. So this is the table of contents, is basically what I'm going to talk in the next 35 minutes. I will try to do it quickly, so leave some time for questions. But don't worry, you see my email at the end, and as Thomas mentioned, you can send your questions through this webcast, or we can address later when we send out our final slides. So everyone is familiar with medicinal plants, and they do us great favor, provide drugs, medicines, as well as other categories of FDA-regulated products. And the botanical guidance is one of the unique FDA guidance to provide instructions for the industry how botanical drugs will be reviewed at FDA, and how FDA will like the industry to take certain procedures to take care of the quality, as well as conduct well-controlled trials to get products finally approved as new drugs. And there are only 2 botanical drugs approved in the last 2 decades, but many other products are currently in various stages or various phases of clinical trials. I'll give you a few examples again as information sharing. And if you are interested, we need to have other discussion to give you more in-depth analysis. And at the end, I'll talk a few offer more theoretical views on how botanical drugs could be developed. Next one, please. In the U.S. pharmacopoeia, we do have dietary supplement monographs. Those include like Ginseng, Kinexum, supplemental, many botanicals used in Chinese medicine, Korean medicine may get into the pharmacopoeia as well. There are also so-called grandfathered drugs like digitalis leaf, opium tincture, contains 1 to 2%. Morphine are still in the USP, which are considered drug products. You can see that digitalis is for heart failure, which is a serious disease. They are not suitable for being used as a dietary supplement. And Herbal Medicine Compendium is a new service USP provides, which is online for international clients. They have to make that distinction because US FDA doesn't have a category so-called herbal medicine. In the definition I'll show in the next slide, herbs and botanicals by default will be considered as dietary supplement. And the Chinese medicine, herbal medicine in Europe, health, natural health products in Canada, all can have drug-like claims. They essentially, or the bulk of these kind of products are OTC drugs. And in China, there's some, actually quite a few botanical products are prescription drugs. You will see that in some of the later examples I'll give. Next slide, please. According to FDA's regulations, products related to botanicals can be fit to those group of categories. Most herbs, as I just mentioned, are dietary supplements. Dietary supplements are close to food, as FDA doesn't permit drug-related claims. And the food and dietary supplements, as well as cosmetics, are regulated by the Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition. Drug products are intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent of any disease. So that are the products I'm going to talk about, mainly to talk about today. They are regulated by CDER, Center for Drug Evaluation and Research. CVM also have animal feeds and animal drugs to regulate, and many botanicals could be entered to the research development for marketing for marketing in animal feeds and drugs. There hasn't been many examples for that in the past, but recently I saw that is happening in China, maybe also in other places of the world. Next slide, please. And for the dietary supplement, I think everyone is familiar probably with the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. The act was passed and signed into law by President Clinton in 1994. You can see herbs or other botanicals along with the mineral vitamins and amino acids are the main categories of dietary ingredients defined in DSHEA. And it allows to have structural functional claims. And for new dietary ingredients, and FDA requires, the law requires to send notification. And FDA has online portal to take your notification. And if you don't, if FDA determines that the new dietary ingredient, you didn't submit a proper documentation, you get warning letters and could have other legal actions against this kind of behavior. Also, structural functional claims. Those are not drug claims, and FDA specially require products bear disclaimer. And everyone probably familiar with that. I just show that on the screen. And I want to also mention FDA don't want sponsors or investigators to use drug INDs to as a promotion tool for their dietary supplements. As a matter of fact, if a product has been in clinical trials and the clinical data is made available, then this kind of product couldn't be submitted as a new dietary ingredient after the fact you already initiated the clinical trial. Next one, please. So I'll start talking about botanical drugs, and I think everyone is familiar with paclitaxel, which is a terpenoid alkaloid from yew tree. That product has been developed since the late 1960s and approved in the early 90s through the government effort, and the Bristol Squibb made the conducted phase 3 trials and finally make this molecule a host food chemotherapeutic agent for different kinds of cancer. And another molecule is artemisinin, discovered at a similar time by Chinese scientists, and the Dr. Tu became a Nobel Prize laureate for discovery of artemisinin. This molecule saved literally millions of lives, mostly in Africa, children below age of 5 in the malaria epidemic region. And you can see that those are single molecules purified and analogs made for new drugs. On the other hand, plants don't only make one chemical molecule, nor they make only one molecule from one drug molecule. Like digitalis contains 2 molecules approved as new drug. Also, vinca alkaloids, there are 2 approved for cancer as well. Psyllium is the fiber and has many molecules. Pyrethrin for head lice from also from plants, or multiple molecules in there as well. Those 2 are OTC drugs. The guidance actually is particularly made to encourage and support prescription drug development for developing botanical mixtures as new drugs. Certainly for OTC products, OTC indications that botanicals could also be developed. That will be determined by the indication, not necessarily by the nature of the molecules. And botanical drugs could also be biologic if the nature of the molecules in there are multiple enzymes, proteins at certain size, then could be become biologics. The 2 approved drugs, Verigen from green tea extract and Fulizac, the name is was changed. The new name is Mytesi. This product is from Croton lachleri. It's a true NME, new molecule entity, with many proanthocyanidin molecules. So the chemistry and specification sometimes could become an issue. I will talk about how FDA requires batch consistency in the next few slides. Next one, please. So we'll talk about the guidance first, which was final. The first draft was published in 2000 and arrived at FDA at 2002, and participated in the finalized the first guidance in 2004. In 2016, after the approval of 2 botanical drugs, FDA Botanical Review Team, along with our center management members and the different division, different discipline, revised the guidance. So you have now botanical drug development guidance for industry that was finalized at the end of 2016. This is probably the only version now available online. Next one, please. I'll talk about briefly about the definition of the botanical drug. As you know, you can see here, if you are have the video, it's basically botanical mixtures from different kinds of plants. Even fungi are included. Botanical drugs can be in all the formulations possible. Topical injections are all fine. This is all in contrast for dietary supplements. You can only have oral products. Next one, please. And botanical drugs excluded highly purified, like the molecules I just mentioned, Taxol and Paclitaxel and ARTEMISIA analogs. Those are standard chemical drugs. The reason FDA defines botanical drugs and want to make a subcategory is basically want to give a certain flexibility to allow multiple molecules from one plant, as well as multiple combinations like those used in Ayurveda, in Chinese medicine, in Japan, Korea, or other parts of the world could be developed into new drugs. So people have multiple pathways. You can develop dietary supplements, cosmetics, botanical drugs, as well as using herbal medicines as the material for purified, highly potent taxine, ARTEMISIA-like molecules. Then you can make a semi-synthetic analog. That's certainly all valid pathways. But here I want to emphasize the importance of the botanical guidance that basically give the industry, give the investigators added tools to harvest multiple molecules, active molecules. Actually, there is no requirement to demonstrate each molecule contribute to the benefit, to the clinical benefit of the botanical drug. There's even no requirement to identify the mechanism. If you could have a botanical product with the good human use history to demonstrate certain usefulness, if that could be drug-related indication, like treat certain disease, diarrhea, genital warts are the two approved for Verogen and Mytesi respectively. And here I want to emphasize that because the nature of the mixture contains multiple molecules, and the chemistry for specification for single molecules not usually adequate or sometimes not apply to botanical drugs. So the botanical raw materials, the tea, how the tea were harvested, and how the tree was planted could also play a role. That's why the guidance emphasizes the importance of botanical raw material control, and also utilize prior human experience to substitute or delay certain animal toxicity studies. So sponsors, developers could initiate early phase proof of concept kind of trials in human early on to see whether the historical use can be repeated in early phase trials. Next one, please. And the requirement for phase 3 trials and NDA will be very similar, if not identical, to the chemical drugs. Certainly the clinical requirement, adequate and well-controlled clinical trials defined by the law will be necessary for marketing a botanical drug in the US. And usually, as we know that the regulation defines the phase 3 trials of well-controlled trials are plural. That's the norm is 2 trials. And for botanicals, The first one conducted 2 standard trials, but recently, as you know, that many cancer trials use one well-controlled trial, confirmatory trial, and that could also apply to botanicals. For the phase 3 trials, I will not say that too much, but it's very important. That is in the principle of the second, the updated botanical guidance. The phase 3 trials of the confirmatory trials probably is beneficial to be conducted using multiple batches as well as multiple doses, if all possible, to demonstrate the so-called therapeutic consistency. And the approach of the clinical efficacy and safety requirements or the risk-benefit analysis approach will be essentially the same as non-botanical drugs. Next one, please. And with that, I think I'll show you there are many botanical INDs submitted to the FDA. On the average, in the past 15 years, is on average about 40 INDs. You will see that there are probably many more trials are in place at the clinicaltrials.gov. I'll mention a few of those in the later sections of my talk. But here you can see Verogen was approved in 2006. Crofelemer, the drug name is Mytesi, is approved 2012, end of 2012. And after each approval, the next year, you see more botanical INDs submitted to the center, to CDER. Next one, please. And the botanical drugs essentially were submitted IND applications for clinical studies were sent to literally all the review divisions. So there is a very diversified candidates for botanical INDs. Now I'll talk about the examples. Tea or green tea or black tea all come from a single plant, Camellia sinensis, originated from China. And the tea drinking has a long history. I will not talk about much about that, but you probably also aware that tea and ginseng are in many herbal teas. Certainly the tea itself is second only to water. That's how popular tea is around the world. Tea extract, various extracts have been studied at Dietary Supplements, others for chemo prevention, and also many are for drug-related claims are in place. Next one, please. So those are the examples of what kind of clinical trials people are currently engaged. Some may be completed. I think those are good examples for you to know. Polyphenol E, which is the drug substance, the name for the Verogen, the drug substance name is catechins. There are 30 studies for the commercial product polyphenol E, which has been sold as a dietary supplement. There are many more for general extract, so-called green tea extract in the US. And again, some of those trials are considered as dietary supplement in nature. So many of those trials were not submitted to FDA under IND. That's why you only see 40 INDs submitted to the center consider drug evaluation. But those are listed here could be all related to drug products. The bottom one is really interesting. Which studied a low strength 7.5% catechins. This is the essentially the half of the strength of the approved drug. Verogen. Next one, please. And now you see the slide of what the Verogen looks like. The drug label on the left, the drug approved in the U.S. is 18% of the catechins. Next one, please. And as I mentioned, tea is originated from China, and the green tea raw materials is also collected from China. And the initial extraction was also made there, and the extract was shifted to Japan for further purification to make it into the drug substance. The commercial name outside for the Dr. Serpent use is the polyphenol E. The drug substance there is a certain shouldn't be considered as identical, but they're similar substance used in the drug, and the 15% of catechins in the ointment was the approved drug for genital and perianal warts in the U.S. Next one, please. And for the clinical trials, I only want to show the phase 3 data. That is the public data that you can access that at FDA's website for Verigen's review package. This is standard phase 3 trials to essentially identical studies. Each arm, the treatment arm, 15%, 10%, with 200 in each arm, and the vehicle control had 100 patients. So 2 phase 3s, over 1,000 patients. Each sprints and each arm showed clinical benefit with the p-value less than 0.05. Next one, please. The subgroup analysis by gender and the site you can see that it's it's an international study in multiple countries, in European countries mostly, and in the U.S. there are only 30 patients. On the other hand, the accuracy rate in all the different groups are very similar. You can see the delta between the vehicle and the treatment arms groups roughly give you 20% of the complete clearance of the warts. So there is no doubt in the medical mind that the product is safe and effective. That's why the drug has been approved. Next one, please. The next botanical drug is derived from the dragon blood, which is the latex from a tree called Crotonacularia in Peru. Next one, please. The dragon blood is the local name. The herb has been used for diarrhea for hundreds of years. Actually, this dragon blood is the #1 diarrhea drug, herbal drug in Peru. This is the phase 3 study of crofelemer. 4 arms, 3 treatment arms, and a placebo arm. The treatment group, 125 milligram BID and 500 milligram BID, gave 20% of the efficacy rate. You can see that the inclusion criteria is very restrictive, and the placebo group only have 1 responders in 50 patients. So that is very serious diarrhea, watery diarrhea in HIV/AIDS patients. So it's a very serious disease for this patient population. That's why the drug is the unmet public health need, and the drug was approved. Actually, that was a priority review. Unfortunately, there are some technical issues delayed the approval for a couple of months, but nevertheless, the nature of the chemistry is the binding proanthocyanidin molecules wasn't a problem to prevent the drug to the market. Next one, please. And the structures, this is the bottle of the product. It's Mytesi, the new name. Fulizat was the name when the drug was approved. It is a delayed release tablet. Next one, please. And 125 BID is the approved product. Here I show you the structures of tea catechins in the drug product, and those are the molecules. If you drink tea, green tea particularly, you could have that kind of molecules. Because the size of the molecule, tea catechins can be readily absorbed, and in the black tea, there are polymers or oligomers. Those are not absorbed. So that's the same case for proanthocyanidins. The structure on the right side. You can see that those oligomers are essentially the oligomers of the tea catechins. Catechins, epicatechins, gallocatechins, etc. are all in green tea. And in the crofelemer, those are much larger molecules, average molecular weight at 2200. So they are locally active. They will not get into the system. Next one, please. Because there are so many similar molecules in crofelemer, the control of the drug substance became challenging issues during the review. At the end, FDA adopted so-called totality of data approach to utilize the raw material control, the standard chemistry manufacturing control mechanisms for chemical drugs, but they can only do this means available, and the quantification and the process and the analysis by chemical means are all in place. They were reasonable, and also next one, please. FDA reviewed the mechanism of the drug, which is fortunately publication is available to show that the crofelemer acts on the calcium chloride channel to inhibit the flow of electrolytes to treat diarrhea. And so the similar bile acids were used to demonstrate batch-batch consistency, and also multiple batch and multiple dose clinical trials gave the clinical team some kind of assurance that the variation in the plant raw material and the subtle changes in the quantity or the composition of the proanthocyanidins wouldn't become a significant issue for change the therapeutic effect. And that is also the case in the PK study. There is the data to show that at the concentration at the 125 BID, the ion channels could be saturated. And certainly the historical use of the herbal medicine also plays a role to tell the team that the clinical efficacy is not by accident. Next one, please. And those are the two approved drugs. And now I'll show you additional examples. This slide shows the publications, FDA botanical team and the center management, along with other review experts, published in 2015 and 2008 after the two drugs are approved. So you can go to this publication to know more about FDA's concept on Botanical Drug Review. Next one, please. Now I'll go into the cannabis. Next one, please. Everyone probably know cannabidiol has been approved as a drug for epilepsy in children. And there is also a botanical product, so-called Sativex, has also been in clinical study for actually much longer time than cannabidiol or CBD. The Sativex has been approved for MS, multiple sclerosis in 30 countries, Canada, and more than 20 European countries. That is made from multiple cultivars, or actually those are cultivars from the same hemp or cannabis plant. Another name is marijuana, if that contains a certain level of THC. Sativex contains both THC and the CBD. In the U.S., the primary effort was to develop pain management drug for advanced cancer patients. Unfortunately, phase 3 trials were completed. There is no adequate efficacy for this patient population. Nevertheless, the study probably is still ongoing for other indications in the U.S. You can find those kind of studies online. Next one, please. And I'll move quickly to show you other products. Epidiolex, that is a CBD drug. It's a purified molecule, and that one received fast track and orphan drug designation because of the indication. And actually, CBD enriched cannabis extract maybe also be developed as a botanical drug. Next one, please. That certainly is my strong opinion, but we will need resources and the right indication to make that a final successful effort. Here I show you ginseng and American ginseng on the right. Ginseng is available in the U.S. And probably around the world. In Korean stores, you can buy fresh ginseng at a certain point, and that photo was fresh ginseng put in the fridge. That is the how it looks like. Just for your curiosity, you haven't seen what ginseng looks like. The right side is the American ginseng. It doesn't look well, but that is the main root. Is for cultivated for probably more than 5 years to give you the main product, the main root of American ginseng. Next one, please. American ginseng has been the #1 botanical in the commerce for international development in international market, especially in China. Actually, at the beginning, it's the missionaries brought American ginseng in to China, and then that product became the favorite actually in China. Panax quinquefolium is the Latin name of American ginseng. Is more expensive, and there is also more demand for American ginseng. Chinese ginseng, there is the also called ancient ginseng, and there is the Korean cultivated ginseng. Also bears this name. That is, you can see Korean ginseng extract sold in Costco as a dietary supplement. At Amazon, you can see there's thousands of products there. There's the general understanding that ginseng could have quality of life effect, like in for people with stress or fatigue. There's certain studies, but not at the drug level. is a more like a dietary supplement or herbal medicine. Next one, please. There has been no drugs approved for ginseng, but there is ginseng extracts, combinations, as well as purified molecules. Gisenocydes, certain gisenocydes have been in clinical trials for depression, for cancer indication as well. Here, there is a few examples. You can see in the middle is for drug-drug interactions studies, euthanasia, ginseng and ginkgo products testing in healthy volunteers with HIV antiviral drugs. There is a study, stated as the dietary supplement study for pre-diabetic population. Next one, please. But there are more clinical trials for cancer fatigue of ginseng. There are several botanicals derived from Chinese medicine in various stages of clinical trials under INDs. The first few examples are Chinese firms, supported by Chinese firms. Next one, please. One is injectable called Candlelight in phase 3 trials for cancer. You can have the publication at the bottom of the slide. Next one, please. Here, Dantonic completed one phase 3 trial, and the second round of phase 3 trials is ongoing right now. Lianhua Qingwen and Guizhi Fuling, all these products are in phase 2 studies, or maybe some are completed phase 2 trials. There is one injectable was reportedly also had a phase 1 study. Next one, please. TH906, which is a decoction derived from a decoction. Now the new form is in Cannabis, I believe, has been studied in cancer-related indications, mostly for reduce the side effects, improve the quality of life. But currently, I think the sponsors are taking steps as the adjunct treatment for cancer patients. Another one is MF101, which is for menopause symptoms. This study was FDA agreed the sponsor can move into phase 3 trials. Unfortunately, the sponsor didn't get enough resources. The study wasn't get initiated. But you can see that FDA was open-minded. This one contains 20 herbs. FDA didn't say you have too many herbs, you couldn't be studied as botanical drugs. But certainly there's certain challenges, practical challenges. You have many herbs, the quality control will be more challenging. And this kind of product will definitely need the biological acids for the batch consistency. Next one, please. So botanicals from various combinations, various extracts can be developed for certain indication with unmet public health needs. Next one, please. And first, I think it's my favorite to say that the active fractions like crofelemer, like catechins for Veridin, those are the active fractions. They have removed some other molecules from the plant. Some are considered to be toxic, maybe some are may not be active. And actually, for multiple plants, you can have multiple active fractions. You may get synergistic or additive effects. Next one, please. Those are basically to use ideas to use modern technology, the modern pharmacology, modern bioassays, different new receptors to test botanical mixtures. And someone just did that, like the golden seal is the native North America plant. It has antimicrobial activities, and the flavonoids and alkaloids could have are actually demonstrated to have in vitro synergistic effects. And actually the underground part and the plant leaves could be mixed to have a higher potency for antimicrobial activities. The T catechins, EGCG, the major component, is not that active, but if you mix different catechins together, the activity, that is the chemopreventive activity in animal models could be increased. Next one, please. And this is my favorite. Actually, some research efforts have been going on for using ARTEMISIA as a treatment for malaria in Africa. We are not saying that those products are at the point to be approved, but nevertheless warrant further study in well-designed clinical trials. There is one study of over 950 patients that is the reference published in 2018 using the ARTEMISIA infusion. Sometimes they use tablets. Tea leaf made into tablet can have the similar efficacy as approved drugs. Certainly, these trials need to be done under so-called DCP, good clinical practice, and those trials may not at that kind of standard, but nevertheless give us more data to consider how to demonstrate the activities of botanical mixtures through well-designed trials. That idea is not mine. Actually, in 2005, NIH, USDA experts, scientists put a open letter to Bill Gates Foundation to support the clinical trials of standardized ARTEMISIA extract for malaria treatment. Next one, please. With that, I conclude my presentation, and thank you for your attention. And my contact information are here. My email is Jinhui Dou, JINHUI DOU @KINEXUM.com. I have my phone number here. We would like to help you if you want to engage in botanical drug development. You want to have other new drug development related questions, please reach out to Thomas, Dan, Jennifer, and me. We are here to help you. With that, I'll conclude my presentation. I want to say happy holidays to everyone and wish you all good luck in your drug development and research activities. Certainly, I would like also to help if you want to deal with dietary supplements and cosmetics. We can give you some, but maybe limited support. Here, we emphasize botanicals have a future as the new drugs. And thank you for your attention again.
Jinhui, thank you so much for that fascinating and comprehensive survey of the botanical medicine space. If you have any questions for Jinhui in this presentation, please feel free to open up the chat box on the left side of the toolbar. Now we're actually pretty close to the end of the hour, so we can also, to the extent people have individual questions, please feel free to email Jinhui or me or Jennifer. We'd be happy to pass it through and happy to have a correspondence about your questions. So I guess at this time I don't see questions lining up here. Again, we will have this webcast posted and links distributed, I think, by early next week. And I'd say, well, let's see, there's a question from Mustafa. Can you please further comment on CMC supply chain and scale-up challenges? What are the biggest challenges remaining? Jinhui, do you have any comments to Mustafa's question?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And I could only comment in general terms, certainly if you have multiple plants, you have more issues. Each one of the botanical raw material, you need to have a farm essentially to support your drug development, especially when you move into late phase. And for the two approved drugs, green tea and Quarton lactulary, the resources are there, and because the drug you don't use that much for the crofelemer is like 125 milligram BID. So there is enough trees there certainly, and also FDA emphasize you need to have a renewed resources for botanicals. You need to have sufficient acreage, if you will, area to grow or to harvest the botanical raw material. There is, I didn't say too much, but the applicant, the NDA applicant, has a good relationship with the local community. They have the so-called sustainable cultivation or replantation in place before they submit the NDA. So for the tree cutting down, they grow more trees in the area, and they certainly have this is abundant tree near the rainforest, so there's no particular issues for that one. And purification of active molecules is not required, but for some herbal extract, you have too many components. The size of the capsules or tablet, or the number of capsules of tablets may be too big, but you may consider to use some other formulation for that.
Okay, great. Art is asking, are there any advantages to developing a mix of a crude extract rather than going for purification of an active component?
Yeah, for botanical drugs, because the raw material, the process, as well as the drug substance and the product has all need to be controlled. So there's not much chance for generic version, maybe biosimilar equivalent. And if you have a single molecule and purify the new drug, and then market that, you probably don't get, you may get 5 years or 7 years exclusivity, but the generic copy could be very easy to make. That is my promotion to botanical drugs. And for botanical drugs, sometimes the mixed form, not only they could have wider therapeutic windows, like the green tea one, there is the demonstration, the mixture actually works well. It's also from a chemistry point of view, like catechin and anticatechin, they exchange. If you make anticatechin in the drug, you end up have catechin in there. And then because the chemical drug defines other molecules as impurities, you have to control that. Certainly, I think the combination rule change, you could develop a set of purified molecules, even synthetic molecules. Maybe you can have 2 or 3 that way. I think that is the benefit for botanicals. The mixture composition, people are not allowed to copy you. If you have a purified single molecule, generic drug could be developed easily. I'm not saying I'm against that, but certainly that is certain. The reason people don't want to invest in botanicals is they're afraid that everyone can copy you, everyone can sell your product, which is true for dietary supplements, but is not true for prescription drugs.
Super. Thank you. I think we've reached the top of the hour, so I want to thank Jinhui for this terrific presentation and for the attendance of the audience and the discussion. And I want to wish you all a good day and a great weekend. Thank you so much, and best wishes for the holidays.